Hello, whiskey folk. It's Roy, Aquaviti. Thursday night, 9:45. 73 people kicking in the door of the vPub before the bar is even staffed. Absolutely fantastic. Little bit intimidating, but fantastic. Welcome to everybody. Come in, grab a seat, sit down, pour something nice and delicious, and share it with me, share it with the community here. Fantastic to see so many of you. Glendronach 15 must be a big draw, right? And of course, welcome, like I say all the time, welcome if you're watching this on the replay. Just a word of warning, these live streams tend to go on for a little while, so if you're dropping in here for a quick break, this is probably not the place to be. Listen to it as a podcast if you like. Listen to it when you've got some time to burn, a lazy Sunday morning or something like that. But this is not a short video. I do get a lot of complaints about people when they see I go on for 2 hours. Fantastic. Such a busy room tonight. I was trying to keep up with the comments as I was setting up, and already I was struggling. I was just struggling with how many people are in. 89 people. I'm just going to try and grab a few people from the crowd just to welcome a few of you in. Macallan Fine Rare just popped into sight there. Fantastic, Doc. Wonderful to see you. I've got some things, obviously, to talk about specifically with meeting you tonight, which was a fantastic opportunity for me. Josh is in, Christine Deems, superb. Vito's in, Dwayne is in, my friend. Dwayne, fantastic. Looking forward to you arriving in Scotland soon. Andy, our baggy, is in, fantastic. Eric Waite from California, superb. Cap and make it happen. I used to know who you were. I know that we talk, I know that we're connected, but I think you had a different name. Maybe that's just in my head. Scott's in, Kilted Moose, fantastic. Hoyt is in, superb. Reb is in from Israel, fantastic Reb. Peggle Strand. I see your name a lot, and I'm not sure how I should be pronouncing that. Welcome in, Peggle Strand. Fantastic to see you, Metalman71. Colourless Blue Things, fantastic, my friend. Rolf is in, Whiskey Wolf. Sherry Malt Drams, Jay Manley, superb, and the chat has just jumped. So if you were, Malt is in, Malt Review, that'll be Jason, fantastic, my friend. Good to have you in. Crispiano Leao, first time watcher, recent follower, love your reviews. Thank you very much, Crispiano. Welcome to your first ever vPub. Let me know what you're drinking, don't make yourself a stranger, and chat to the other guys that are in here as well. There's enough of them tonight. This is wonderful. So the theme of tonight is obviously the recent announcement from Glendronach that they'd reignited their 15-year-old revival. Now, the 15-year-old revival quickly became one of the cult whiskies from that distillery. It was one of Billy Walker's big successes. And of course, it was a cult, not just because it was a really good whiskey, it was a really good value whiskey, but word quickly got out that the whiskey inside the Glendronach 15 and subsequently the other whiskies in the range had to be much older than what the age statement suggested because of the shutdown from, I think Glendronach was 96 to 2001, 2002, so 5 or 6 years there, just at the turn of the millennium. That means that for them to produce a 50-year-old whiskey, they had to go back to the 1990s and older to release that bottle. So quickly people worked out that the minimum age was going to be significantly higher than it said on the bottle. And of course, as the years went on and that continued to be produced, you could quickly get to the stage that your Glendronach 15 could actually be a 20 or a 21-year-old whiskey and not actually a 15-year-old, which made it even more of a good value prospect. And it was, of course, really delicious. Eventually, 2 years ago, it was discontinued and everybody snapped up what was left on the shelves and the prices quickly rocketed. But just in the last few weeks, first as a distillery exclusive release, and now I believe on general public release and in retail, we have the new replacement revival, not from Billy Walker, but from the new whiskey maker there, which is Rachel Barry. Now, they have apparently changed the makeup. And instead of it being exclusively Oloroso as it was in the past, apparently there's now some PX in there as well. PX tends to be a sweeter sherry, adds a bit more sweetness to the profile. But I can't imagine they've kind of gone for a sweet profile. I think perhaps what they're trying to do is just make it a bit more rich or a bit more luscious, I think. I'm not sure. Haven't tried it at all. But that's what I'm going to try tonight. I'm going to open the Glendronach 15 Revival. You'll see it over my shoulder here. And I'm going to also sip it in contrast with the old Glendronach 15 Revival, because it just seems the obvious thing to do. And I'm sure so many people up and down the country are doing the same thing and drawing conclusions. However, let me say at the top, it's inevitable it's not the same whiskey. If they hadn't discontinued it, if they were still making it without any cut, here 2 years down the line, it would still be a different whiskey. It's absolutely inevitable. And now, of course, they are obviously much more likely to have a significant proportion of 15-year-old stock in there rather than 19, 20 or older stock. So that's what we're going to do in a little while. I kind of sat down here tonight thinking I didn't have much to talk about, which is always the way. But there's a bunch of stuff to talk about. The Whiskey Rev is in. Fantastic, my friend. Good to see you. I've managed to include some of your questions for the quiz that we'll have at the end of this stream tonight. But it's brilliant. You could jump in and help me out in the chat tonight. It's a really, really busy room, 153 of you in. So it's going to just kind of be difficult for me to stay cohesively in contact with the chat. But I'll try my very, very best. The doc is saying, Macallan Fine Rare is saying, make sure not to mix them up. That's a great point. Let me carefully bring these over to you and have a look at these tubes. There are lots of dusties of the old ones still around, I'm sure. If you went into a shop, you're going to have to do your homework now to spot these easily from a distance. There is an obvious giveaway. But if you look at these, they're pretty much absolutely identical. And the bottles even more so. But let me give you a clue of how you're going to spot these quite quickly and tell the old version from the new version if you happen in to a local retailer or whatever. The old version has built, I need to pull up the camera to make sure this is going to focus. See what this camera is focusing on. The old Glendronach 15-year-old Revival, you can probably see there, has Billy Walker's signature on the back. And of course, inevitably, that means that the new one has Rachel Barry's signature there, right? Good. So in the tube, you're safe. So if you're in a retail environment, you're looking for the signature. The new one is Rachel Barry's and Billy Walker's will be the older. And I have to say probably more valuable one because of the older stock, that's the older liquid that's inside that makeup. And just this is that would be the Glendronach 15-year Revival that made its reputation. That's what the one that people went crazy over. If you look at the bottle, it's a hell of a lot more difficult to tell the difference. I've just had a big flash across the screen because my friend Tom R is in and he sent me a virtual dram from the States. Thank you so much, Tom. Wow, that's super, super generous of you. Saying thank you so much for the challenge coin, Roy. I'm just very, very grateful you got it, Tom. Fantastic. It's in your hands now. I got it a couple of days ago and wanted to thank you again. Tom, you're very, very welcome. And thank you so much for your generosity once more. I'm glad you like that coin. And I hope it tops a fine dram, perhaps even tonight, Tom. Thank you so much, my friend. If we look at this Glendronach Revival, this is I've just taken this out of the Rachel Barry tube. This is the new one. And if you look at it versus the old one, the similarities are even greater. There's no signature on this to tell the difference. The labeling is pretty much absolutely identical. And this is UK bottlings I'm looking at here, so the labeling on the back is going to differ from country to country, of course. But this is the labeling on the back, so you can see very, very subtle differences in the wording and the font size and the kind of layout of graphics and things. But what you need to do if you've only got the bottle and it's not in its tube is you need to look here for the ink stamp. Now, I can't show you that in the camera tonight, but the ink stamp will tell you the bottling date. And if it's 2016 or previous, of course, it's the old version, 2018, or more recently, it'll be the new one. So what one do we have here? This is a Billy Walker one. The doc's absolutely right. I'm going to need to be very, very careful not to get these mixed up. And that clearly says 2015 on there. Make sure it goes back in the right tube. Superb. So what we'll do is, I think we'll get these uncorked just now and get them in glasses and get them breathing, so that when I try them in a little while, they've had a chance to kind of sit and air out. Never ever judge a bottle, of course, by a neck pour. The first pour from the bottle is going to really be it's not going to be bad necessarily, but it's not going to be the full experience yet. It's still going to be a wee bit uptight. It's not really had time to stretch. It's not really had time to breathe. And it needs a little bit of time to aerate. Even leaving it in the glass is not as effective in my experience as it would be if you'd left it in an open bottle for a few days or a couple of weeks even. Just gives it time to settle a little bit. I really find it makes a huge difference, as most people do. Now, I was thinking of doing this blind, but it is a neck pour, and it wouldn't really be a fair comparison, so I'm just going to share it with you. We also, Jason Whiskey-Wise and I talked about the possibility of us hooking up, to share some tasting notes on this. But Jason struggled. It's only just hit the retail stores down south as well, so Jason struggled to get out and get his hands on the new bottle, so we can maybe look at doing something like that in the future. Now, this is the 2018 one. Yes, it is. Now, the reason I'm being very, very careful is I'm cheating tonight. I don't know how much the old ones are going for. Probably the price has dropped, I would imagine, but maybe somebody else can tell me. I haven't looked how much they're going for now. But really, it's at the stage like so many bottles are, and I had a discussion about this recently, that it's getting to the point that the value could actually be more than the whiskey's worth. The whiskey will struggle to live up to the value, to the cost of it. So this is the Rachel Barry one open, and I'm going to pour the Rachel Barry one in this glass that's got a little Kilchoman logo on it here. It's a great noise. So I'm at the stage now where I've had this little Glendronach in the cabinet so long now, and I paid over the odds for this because they'd already been discontinued, and this was up at £90 by the time I bought it, and it's probably a wee bit more than that now. So I'm thinking, should I open this? And I thought, yeah, I should open it. When the new one comes out, I'll just open it and compare. But I discovered I had a cool thing. I think it's here. I have here a gift from my friends across the Atlantic, the Scotch for Dummies. See the little logo there? They sent me a sample of Glendronach 15-year-old Revival quite a wee while ago. And I remember when I got it, I said, once I finish my Glendronach 15-year-old Revival, I can keep this sample for this very occasion. So I don't need to open the full one. Now, if you think that's cheating, that's okay. But given the potential cost of this, especially if the new one is not that good, I'll take that criticism for you. Soon I'll have school fees to pay for. So we have here in the clear glass the older Glendronach Revival, and then the one with the logo on, we have the newer one now. Straight away, I don't know if you guys can pick that up on there, but I see the older one is clearly a shade or two darker. Not that that means much, but it should help us distinguish them a wee bit, I guess. So I'll pop this bottle away, and I'll pop the glasses out of reach while I tell you what I'm sipping right now. What are you guys drinking? I hope that you guys are looking after each other tonight, because it's super, super, super tricky for me to chat to you. 179 of you in. Fantastic. Wonderful to welcome you all. There's going to be lots and lots of new guys in there. There's a Jimmy Jazz in. Fantastic. Good to welcome you, Jimmy. That looks like a new name. Rombout Laddie is in. Superb. Everwind, my friend. Welsh Toro. Fantastic. Whiskey Throttle. Daniel, you're an Aaron. You're actually physically here in my country. And it was wonderful to be able to nick along. Glasgow Airport is only 15 minutes from me. I jumped in the car and I came along and waited till you stepped off that plane just to shake your hand and welcome you to Scotland. I was not expecting what you did to me, though. That took me by surprise. I just turned up to surprise Daniel and just say hi, welcome and things. I'm hoping to meet him towards the end of his itinerary when he's done his loop of Scotland and come back to Edinburgh and Glasgow. So that was a surprise. And the guy opens his suitcase and pulls out 2 gifts for me. I was just blown away. Amy has just sent a donation across the channel as well. Amy, you're a superstar. I love you guys. She's saying hit that like and show the love. Amy will bully you until you've hit a thumb of your choice tonight. She will try to get you to hit the likes, of course. I don't mind which you hit as long as it's honest. And if you hit the down thumb, even if it's a direct message, tell me why. Fantastic. So yeah, it was wonderful to meet Daniel, and he is just like a Canadian John Wayne to me. The way he talks, and he's kind of slow, laid back character is just reminds me of John Wayne. So I'm looking forward to seeing Daniel, and I'm going to share with you, because I haven't opened what he gave me, and I'm going to open it tonight. There's just too much to do tonight, far too much to do. But these wee Glendronachs are going to get put to the side, and they'll be permitted to breathe for a little while. I'm going to clear some samples off my desk here. Whiskey Whistle's just sent in a donation as well, saying, Roy, can't watch Min coming if I get a new one. Okay, Mark, I need clarification. Can't watch. Okay, sorry, buddy. Thank you very much for your donation. I'm not reading what you've actually... I'm not understanding what you've meant there, but I'll say thank you very, very much anyway, Mark. Mark is, as you know, I hope you do know Mark at Whiskey Whistle. He's got his own channel there. He used to broadcast out of Korea, and he's now back in his home country of Canada. An absolute gentleman and one of the most knowledgeable about the whiskey subject out there. He's really, really a well-informed guy. Thank you very much, my friend. We've got here some samples. These ones are from Phil at Causeway Coast Whiskies. I don't know if Phil is in tonight, but he sent me these from Ireland, and he sent me a really curious selection. He sent me a Springbank 14-year-old, the new sherry wood release, the 2018 at 57%. I have tried that. It's one of the dirtiest long rows I've tasted. Really, really rich, dark, sour, almost kind of like, you know, when you talk about those cheesy notes sometimes you get, that's what it was for me. Now, the sample bottle I have is half full, so it might loosen up a wee bit and change, but it was really quite a dirty... Springbank can be like that anyway, but that was probably the most sour I've experienced in a long row. So if you're into Springbank and long row and that's your flavour, that's your thing, you're probably going to love the 2018 14-year-old sherry oak. But if it's not your thing, try before you buy, definitely. He also sent me a Dingle pot still, batch 1, PX matured at 46.5%. I've never tried any Dingles. It was just a fantastic one to have. And the new green spot, which is the Chateau, I'm going to try and pronounce this, Montelena. Chateau Montelena, which is a Zinfandel cask. Now, I absolutely loved, and I love giving people the green spot Chateau Leoville Barton. It's a very, very rich, lovely textured, fantastic pot still Irish whiskey. So I'm excited to try that one. But what I'm sipping now is also from Phil. And this is a first for me as well. This is a Method and Madness pot still batch 2 from French Chestnut. Now, clearly, if that was Scotland, this couldn't be called whiskey. So I guess in Ireland, the legislation is a wee bit more laid back. And there are stories that in Scotland, there are chestnut casks kicking around in warehouses here and there from before the oak thing was tightened up. But I don't know if there's any truth in that. But yes, this is from a chestnut cask. And honestly, as I've been sipping this tonight, not that I know what a chestnut cask should taste like, but I don't taste anything that would suggest it wouldn't have come from oak. But thank you, Phil. Thank you very, very much for sending those fantastic and curious samples across. I also got a bunch of really cool samples from my friend Rob at Whiskey in the Six. He sent me Bamor. It looks like he's written here VO7. Now, could that be the vintner, I wonder? I remember that there was a Bamor, a special Bamor expression came out there. I think that might be what it is. I haven't researched these at all. He's also sent me the Springbank Burgundy, fantastic. Highland Park the Light, and the Cavalan Oloroso Sherry. It looks like Cavafan Pick. Wow, really unique. 58.6% in cask strength. So I might reach for one of these tonight as well. I've just got so many samples here. I've got a really cool blind challenge here. I met up with Error McFault, my patron and friend from Belgium. And he brought along a blind challenge for me. And he's configured it. He's got the envelopes and things set up a wee bit like the Aquavitae blind challenge. So I'm just wondering, there's quite generous pours here, so I might be able to do this in collaboration with somebody else. And I talked to the Whiskey Rev about maybe doing that on a Patreon live stream, the two of us doing the blind together and going through the motions with patrons. But we'll work on that and work out if we think that that's going to be a thing that works. Fantastic. So let's have a wee sip. Let's say sláinte to everybody and welcome once more. 195. Wow, this is breaking all kinds of records. I guess that you're here to figure out what this Glendronach's like. This is still me on the Method and Madness. Now, the Method and Madness series there was quite a few different ones came out. I didn't pay much attention about it at the time. And I have to say, I'm a little bit ignorant when it comes to Irish whiskies, bourbons, American whiskies, Canadian whiskies. You know, I think it's something that you have to fight if you're in Scotland and you have the variety of Scotch here. You need to force yourself. And you need to take the opportunities to explore the other things when you get the chance, because there are fantastic, fantastic things out there. But this is very, very tasty. It's quite a strange calibrator, Phil. I wouldn't normally have something like this to start the night, but it's tasting fantastic. Nigel Slynn is in. Nigel, good to see you. And Mikey Hay, my friend, let me tell you a story about Mikey Hay. Fantastic guy. We managed to meet him in Glasgow. We managed to grab a dram together while he was passing through. And we were in the pot still, and we were chatting about things, and we got chatting about Clynelish. And I went up to the bar, and I spotted a bottle of Clynelish. It was a Carnmore cask strength Clynelish 1996 from a refill sherry butt. And I was suspicious that it might have been the same kind of parcel of stock or a sister cask, perhaps. It was 8805 or something, the cask number was. From the Signatory vintage ones that I love so much, maybe even a purchase from Signatory or a trade or something like that, who knows. It was a 1996 cask strength Clynelish. Bought us each a dram and we sat down with it and we chatted and chatted. And as I was chatting, Mikey picked up the Clynelish and took a sip of this Clynelish, and I witnessed his world pause, stop. He took a sip and he literally just, his head went back, his eyes rolled into the back of his head, and he turned in the other direction. And I stopped talking for a second. Then as he took his second sip, I continued to talk, and he held up his hand and asked me to stop speaking so he could continue his moment. It was really a magical thing, and it's fantastic. It's one of the greatest things in whiskies when you share it. And when you witness that kind of vicarious epiphany happening with somebody else. It was a delicious whiskey. I was really, really pleased with it. And I can understand why Mikey connected with it so much. But it was fantastic. And his reaction after it and the way he talked about it, enthused about it, it's just one of those fantastic things that whiskey can bring. Wonderful. That was a pleasure to hang out with you, Mikey. It was brilliant. And I hope that we can do it again. Batman is in. If you're going to welcome anybody, welcome Batman, right? Fantastic. Good to see you. Nathan DeKinga is in. Fantastic, Nathan. Welcome here. He's saying, I saw you all advertising that and was reminded about Roy's today. I hope be there for yours tonight as well. There's quite a few live streams going on, actually. Scotch for Dummies are going out tonight, obviously, at their usual time. Also, I think the three guys, it's tonight, I'm sure, Vito, Josh, and Brad from I guess you'll know them from the Whiskey Tribe and things like that, but they've got a YouTube channel out there just now called Cask Strength, and they're starting tonight. They'll do their first ever one at 3 a.m. in the morning, our time, which will probably be 9 p.m. Central. You need to check that, but the YouTube channel you're looking for is Cask Strength. And they'll do their first one tonight, the three guys. So you should go along and check those guys out and see what they're bringing as well. Graham Young has just dropped me a donation. Thank you very much, my friend. We had the chance to meet in Glasgow as well this year. Wonderful opportunity. And thank you very, very much for your kind donation. Scott is saying that he's got a Signatory 21 Clynelish from the Whiskey Exchange 8676. Is it open, Scott? He's saying we'll get a sample to you. I guarantee you that's one of the, and I happen to know that Sukinder Singh, the guy who owns the Whisky Exchange, was super keen to secure quite a bit of that stock from Signatory Vintage as Whisky Exchange exclusives. It's just wonderful, wonderful whisky. I don't think it's going to be around forever, but I was assured when I visited Edredour that there was enough of that stock for future bottlings not to be panicking right now. But each time there's a release and as its reputation grows, the price is climbing, of course. And Nathan is saying your time zone math is good. Thank goodness for that. And Josh is saying, thanks, Roy. You're very, very welcome. And I wish the three of you the best of luck. And I hope that you bring sharing a nice vibe and more whiskey enthusiasm to the airwaves. I won't be able to pick it up, guys, because it's 3 a.m. in the morning here. But if it's a podcast style, it's fantastic for listening to in the replay. So I'll look forward to that. Jason is in, fantastic. Jason Whiskey Wise is in, moderating for me again tonight, along with the Whiskey Rev. And he is... he was talking about joining me tonight for this Glendronach revival, but Jason, you'll just have to listen to my amateurish notes. Okay, I think we'll put a wee cover on these. Oh wow! So the difference on the nose is clear, is really, really clear. It's a much brighter. This is a sherry nose, absolutely sherry, very sherry cask. There's a bit of spice and fruit, but it's brighter. It's fresher than you would perhaps expect. Yeah. Even I would say it's quite a sweet proposition already. And I know that I'm pre-programmed because of the PX thing. So this is sweet, but the sweetness in this is more kind of like a maple syrup, more like a rich honey, more of a spiced maybe sweetness. Completely different, and it smells. There's just an older smell here. There's a smell of like a dank, older environment here. I'm going to stick a couple of coins on here, an Aquavite coin and a Scotch Test Dummies coin. This is my Patreon coin from Scotch Test Dummies. If you'll permit me a little bit later in the stream, I'm going to talk about the Patreon thing tonight because I'm just blown away by it. It's just a fantastic thing. But I'm going to cover these up for a wee bit and just let them settle under a cover as I pour something else. Now, this is a Kilkerran work in progress from Sherrywood. So I think it's a good warm-up. It's not too strong, 46 ABV. So it's maybe a good warm-up to go into these two Glendronachs. And this Kilkerran was given to me by my friend who I hooked up with recently, Alan Wilson. I haven't seen Alan in tonight. He often joins. But I think this is this Kilkerran work in progress. Work in progress was the series that Kilkerran was releasing on the run-up to releasing their first ever core expression. And they were releasing bourbon wood expressions and sherry wood expressions annually. And this is the work in progress. I think he said it was 8. He hasn't put it in the label, but I think he told me it was number 8. Big Dog is in. Fantastic to see you. The Whiskey Dram, fantastic. Good to welcome you in. Bobby Parnell from Texas, wonderful to see you. Dram Dude, superb. Whiskey Wings, fantastic. Scotty Swing. Scotch for Dummies is in as well. I didn't check your message if you've replied to me tonight, guys. If you're going out at the normal time, I guess that's going to be 2 a.m. our time. So you'll be just an hour ahead of the guys who are going out at from the Cast Strength guys. Okay, it's going to be difficult for Revival to live up to that. That's a fantastic dram. It's a very, very tasty dram. Wonderful stuff. Jillian is saying she's drinking a cup of tea. There's Nothing wrong with having a cup of tea, Gillian. Perhaps that's your warm-up. She's saying that this is making her thirsty. You should maybe pour a little dram. You're in our time zone. Surely it's time to put your feet up and treat yourself. Hoagie is in from Germany. Fantastic. And he's talking to Macallan Fine Rare. It's fantastic the two of you are in. I'm hoping, Hoagie, that you're going to enter whiskey, because I got a cool suggestion from Macallan Fine Rare and I jumped on the opportunity. So it looks like come the start of December or end of November, I think it's the 30th to the 2nd, Inter Whiskey in Frankfurt, the whiskey show. I'm hoping to travel over there. I say hoping, I've booked my flights. I've still to work out exactly what the details are, what my arrangements are, but it looks like I'll be there on this Saturday. So if anybody out there is going to, for example, Whiskey Jason, I saw you in tonight. It looks like you're going to be there. If anybody's going to be at the Inter Whiskey show in Frankfurt on the Saturday, then make yourselves known, and hopefully I'll have the chance to meet you over there. Tell me, 209, so 208. How do I keep the ball in the air? How do I keep you engaged? What can I bring? What do you want to hear? I do have a lot of things to talk about tonight, and I specifically didn't do much research or whatever on the news and things like that before the live stream, because I felt that things were already pretty full anyway. And what I tend to do is, you're already picking up, is I monologue, and I end up forgetting a lot of things that I wanted to talk about. And the things that I tend to drop are kind of recent news stories. So I wanted to concentrate on just kind of the subjects that I wanted to share tonight. So before I dive into these revivals, I'm going to open so that Daniel can get some jet lag recovery sleep in. I don't know if he's still here. I'm going to open these gifts from Daniel. As I recall, a wee story that happened recently, and I'm not going to name the protagonists, but I know that they're both in here tonight. This is just how cool the whiskey community is, really. Specifically, the whiskey community that's building up around this channel and the other channels that we collaborate with. It's really a wonderful, and I find that everywhere I go in whiskey, I'm struck by the generosity, the kindness, and just how people seem to be better versions of themselves when they're surrounded by whiskey. I don't know if you find that. I mean, I don't know these people to be anything other than nice, of course, but I find that, you know, the general profile, the demographic of people in whiskey are very generous and kind and considerate. Let me give you an example of that. When I released the coins, I released it to patrons only originally. So patrons had a bit of an advance to buy the numbers and things that they wanted, but it had to be on a first come, first serve basis. And I was just hitting the bulk messages as they came in and the requests. And a request came in for coin, and I can tell you the coin number, I guess, for coin 73, and it was this person's birth year. And I just said, yes, straight away, you can have that. It's locked in, it's for you. And then just a couple of messages later, maybe even immediately afterwards, I opened another message from a known supporter of me who's been supporting me from the beginning, who also asked for the same number, and I knew fine well that number was their number. I know that from photographs that they've shared on social media and things, I knew that they would have asked for that number. And if I'd have been more on it or sharper or aware, I would have understood that and reserved that for them before they'd even seen the notification from me. But I didn't. When the original person found out that number, that 73 number, belonged to somebody else, they gave it up to the other person and accepted another number in exchange. You just can't buy that kind of consideration. Fantastic. So I think that you both know who each other are. I'll let you thank each other. And if you want me to tell anybody who you are, I just think it was a wonderful, wonderful gesture. And I kind of always want to be reminded of that kind of dynamic, that kind of generosity, that kind of spirit of sharing. Because the person who gave up that coin, that was their birth year as well. It was special to them. Quite fantastic. And it got me out of a sticky situation as well, right? Okay, this is from Daniel from Whiskey Throttle. He gave these to me at the airport, a complete surprise, complete out of the blue. And I fully imagine I am not going to understand what I'm opening here. I need your help, because it's perhaps going to be Canadian whiskey. He's come from Edmonton in Alberta. So he's probably bringing, you wouldn't bring Scotch for me, right? It's taking rice to China. But I don't know anything about Canadian whiskey, so I don't know what I'm going to be opening here. I need to grab Phil at Causeway Coast Whiskey's in. Phil, I've just finished a dram of one of the samples that you gave me. He's saying good evening to everybody. I'm sure you've just arrived. But I was sipping your chestnut cask, Method in Madness, and very tasty it was too, Phil. Thank you very, very much. So if anybody knows what I'm opening now, it's coming in a kind of, I think this is just packaging to protect it. Thought that was a kind of Hessian bag there. Yeah, I've got a knife here. So I have no idea what these things are. I didn't look in advance. Chad is saying, hi Chad Adams, good to welcome you in. He's saying, Roy, it has been my experience that whiskey drinkers are generous. They really, really are. I think people get it when they get into whiskey. They get how much whiskey experiences are increased, and you know, you can have it more than doubles the experience when you share a whiskey with somebody else. And it really encourages us to be better versions of ourselves sometimes, I think. Oh, wow. Oh, shit. Well, okay, I do know what this is. And this has come up a lot. Daniel, you're some kind of superstar. Can I just show his cameras up here? Daniel has just given me a bottle of the 12-year-old Lot 40 cask strength. Daniel, that's just unbelievable. If I had to pick a Canadian whiskey that I could, there's no way I could get this right. But if I could pick a Canadian whiskey that I wanted to try, this is the one that everybody's talking about, right? In fact, when I put out that recent video of the top 5 whiskies, this Lot 40 just kept getting repeated and repeated. And eventually I started to comment, you know, people are just keep talking about this Lot 40. Whiskey Wings is saying Lot 40, amazing, fantastic. Stevie A is saying nice, absolutely. Joel Goshman, nice to see you as well. Joel is saying, oh my God, you lucky guy. What a gift, Nigel. You're absolutely right. Fantastic. So I think this Lot 40 cask strength 12-year-old is rye, right? But I don't mean as in crafted in small batches. Lot 40 is rye whiskey in its simplest form. So does that mean, because I know there's a bit of ambiguity there in Canadian whiskey, does that mean that the mash is 100% rye? I need to do a bit of research on that. First edition, bottle 1025 from 4968, very limited batch. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful gift. Daniel, I know I've already given you a hug, but that deserves a bigger one, doesn't it? Wow. Mark Padley is saying, wow, Roy, that bottle is incredible. Caskmate is saying, that seems to move you. What an awesome gift. Do you know what? I was starting to get a wee bit teary when I was talking about the coin story earlier. So I'm really holding it together fantastically well when I open and see that, because I am prone to emotion at things like this, but I'm keeping it together tonight. Not had enough whiskey. Graham Young is saying he's halfway through his Lot 40 cask strength. It is sublime stuff. Most classic rye expression behind the Bookers. Ooh, is that that Green Label Bookers? I can't remember. Was it Fred No or something? His book, his famous one. I got to try that when I was in Texas, in fact. So we have a smaller bottle here. No idea what this is. Oh wow, this is a single malt. This is, and I'll show you the label in case you recognize it first before I read it out to you. Wow, do you see how pink I go when I hold that up there? The white balance on this camera is, it's crazy, and there's nothing I can do to control it. So if I'm pink, if I'm green, I just am. This is distilled from 100% BC, that would be British Columbia, I guess, grown malted barley, Canadian single malt whiskey, and it's the Odd Society, makers of fine spirits, 1725 Pearl Street, Vancouver, British Columbia, limited release. Wow, I've got a feeling that this will be something pretty special and exclusive as well. Daniel, I don't know how to make this up to you, my friend. I don't know what I can do to repay this kind of generosity. But if we get a chance to meet up in Edinburgh or Glasgow at the end of your loop of Scotland, I'll give it a damn good shot, okay? Thank you so much, my friend. You're a wonderful, wonderful gentleman. Those of you that don't know Daniel already, he's been about super supportive guy for the community for years. Been on Instagram for a long time. Recently took to doing live streams on YouTube as well. He's got a channel out there, Whiskey Throttle. Go along and see how laid back, how cool, and how passionate he is about whiskey. And he's got a collection that's pretty jaw-dropping as well. Hoagie Berryson got to go to bed now, unfortunately. I understand, Hoagie. I understand completely. There's 216 people in tonight. It's a busy, busy stream. It's going to be really, really tough to try and, even for you guys, I guess, to chat amongst each other when the chat is moving so fast. So as things go on tonight, what will happen eventually is we'll wind down towards the end, and only the people that really want to test themselves and the quiz will stay on, but not before we've covered another couple of topics. I want to show you something that I may or may not get around to opening tonight. And I know that you want me to try these Glendronachs. So should I do that first? I should probably do that first. That's the Kilkerran. We drink of water. So let's see how these are on the nose after they've been sitting for a wee while. Okay, this is fresh, sparkly, bright. This has got a nose a wee bit like a Glenfarclas would have. Quite nutty. But the brightness is almost like a lemon zest, like a citrus zest from it. Superb. Really nice nose, but younger and brighter than you would associate with, I guess, what we've been taught to expect out of Glendronachs, right? Completely different. Obviously, smelling and contrast like this is going to show up the differences. It's going to show up the contrast. But there's a sourness here, and the sourness is the sourness that you would associate with an older whiskey. A richer nose, drier. Again, that spice is there, and it's making me think of a syrup, like a sap, a tree sap sweet, a drier, spicier sweet. This is like a bright sweet. Wow. I'm struggling to. Obviously, this is the neck pour from this one. You can't judge a bottle from a neck pour, as we talked about, but you know, that's all we can do tonight. This is like a first impression. There's not really meant to be anybody that knows me will know that the reason that I don't do whiskey reviews is it's kind of not my thing. Tasting notes, smells, and things like that. That's the Jason Whiskey Wise's, Phil from Whiskey Wednesday, the guys, Scotch for Dummies and Scotch Test Dummies. That's what these guys do. And of course, the master, Ralfy. I'm just a bartender, right? Okay, I'm going in. On first pass, that's a lovely whiskey. This is the new one. This is the brand new Glendronach 15. Very unlikely I would have picked it out as a Glendronach. Who knows? But that's a fantastic whiskey. Decent finish, not bad. Wee bit drying right at the end. Still sweet, still bright sweet, still not sugar. Again, kind of a citrus sweet, nutty, a wee bit nutty. But again, there's no way you would sip this and say that it was poor. And if there's PX in this, I think you'd have to go hunting for it. It's not obvious to me, not obvious to me at all. I think you might think that this is like a more like a red wine cask type effect that's going on here. That's kind of the flavor rather than that kind of deep, rich, dark sherry. This is more a kind of brighter, fresher, vibrant wine cask. That's the impression that I get from this. Okay, without even rinsing or anything, I'm just going to go into the older one. Okay, like I said at the start, wow. Even if they hadn't had a break, the whiskey would have changed. It would have been different. If they'd continued to make it, it still would have been different because the cask makeups would have been different. They'd have been pulling from different stock. It's the inevitability in that wax and wane that happens in whiskey. People need to accept that that's a thing in whiskey. Even when they were making the original 2015 and before revival, 15-year-old, year by year, it would have been switching it up and changing it. The smell of the older whiskey is in there. The taste of the older whiskey, it's drier. There's definitely a nuttiness here. But the thing that strikes you here is it's a much drier, much more bitter experience. This is still a fairly kind of sweet whiskey, but it's sweet in the sherry sense, so not kind of sugar sweet. It's sweet in that kind of spiced sense. That idea that it's been sweetened by, like I keep coming back to this kind of tree sap thing. I don't know if it's like that on the palate, but more of a kind of honeyed sweetness or a spiced honey sweetness, that kind of thing. And the dry nutty thing again, almost like, you know how walnuts can be dry and dusty sometimes. Completely different whiskey. Completely different whiskey. Wow. If you were looking for a snap conclusion based on a neck pour from this and a sample of this is a 2015 bottling, as I've said. Well, I think it was. I think I'd need to check with the guys first. But their review is online now. You can go and check their review. I think as a snap conclusion, clearly very, very different. Both very, very good. If you have the opportunity to taste these in contrast, I think you might be amazed just how different whiskies these are. But that's not to take anything away from this. I was a wee bit worried I wasn't going to like this. This will definitely appeal to somebody with a sweeter tooth. Somebody that likes a sweeter whiskey, that's their check, absolutely. But it's not sickly. Like I said, I think you'd need to hunt for the PX. It's not obvious. And the ABV is more in check on this one, which is bizarre, right? Because this is older. Oh, okay, no. Okay, no. This is magical. Okay, I need to stop this. You're just kind of 225 people sitting around watching me sipping whiskies and having wee moments to myself. This is coming out to be much better, sip by sip. Mm-hmm. Okay. If I was taking a bottle, price, value, rarity, availability, nothing, take all of that away. If it was just two bottles sitting side by side, the older one would be the one I would take. My goodness, yeah. Great whiskey. Still a great whiskey. Still a great, great, great whiskey, and fully deserves to be placed as a cult whiskey. The new one, I have to say, to my palate, to Aquavitae sitting here, I would happily dram this, and it's not so sweet that I would be sickened of it. Now, I hear that's a lot more expensive. Yeah, it's younger. Cletus obviously younger. I hear that it's more expensive. It's £72 now. I think when Glendronach originally was out, the 15-year-old was originally out, it was £40. So now the new one's out at £72. But I think we just need to accept a lot of the time that that's where whiskey's going, and we accept it, and then we choose whether we want to participate or not. We choose whether that is good value versus its peers, rather than sorry, that's too much of a price increase. Because sometimes whiskies have had to position themselves cheaper than they should be in order to gain a reputation. And that was kind of the Glendronach story. It was only really the whiskey geeks that really, really were impassioned about Glendronach and loved the fact that it was operational again. But it wasn't really well known. But because of things like the 12, which is fantastic, the Allardyce is wonderful, the Parliament 21-year-old, wonderful, and the cult status that 15-year-old revival got, Glendronach was able to build its brand and its reputation, and now it can cash in on that. And I think that's what's happening there. £72 for a 15-year-old is kind of getting into the mid to high end, I would say. But you make your choices. The doc is saying, oh, by the way, I should say, I forgot to mention that, or did I? Did I say it at the start? That it was Macallan Fine Rare, the doc, who was visiting Scotland, that bought this at the distillery and gifted it to me. It's just like a gift fest right now. It's amazing, absolutely amazing. I'm very, very grateful to everybody. I don't know how I can repay you all, but that's not all he did. He brought that bottle to me, which would have been really difficult for me to get, even though I'm in Scotland. It would be a 3-hour drive for me to get up to Glendronach. It would take a day out, or maybe even an overnight, because you wouldn't just go up and come back down. You would stay overnight and do a wee tour and things. So for me to do it would have been difficult. And he was at Glendronach. He knew it was distillery only available, and he bought it for me. But that's not all he did. Wait till you see this. This is quite a fantastic gift. I've opened this up and I've removed the little booklet and the padding that comes with it. But he gave me this set of samples. Let me pull the camera up to make sure you can see this. He gave me this set of samples. This is the 2017 Diageo special releases. Not all of them. This is 5 of them. This is a Convalmore. Okay, long closed distillery. Glen Elgin. Now there's more details on here. This is a cask strength Glen Elgin, aged 18 years. The Convalmore is 48.2%. Again, that is cask strength. This is a 32-year-old Convalmore. A Tanninic, which is again cask strength, 55.9%, 17-year-old Tanninic. That was the special edition. Obviously, you'll probably recognize that bottle, some of you. Port Dundas at 44.6% and 52 years old. And finally, a Blair Athol, 58.4% at 23 years old. Doc, again, I don't know how I'm going to be able to repay you for the kindness, but I kind of feel like I want to bring this with me to Germany so that we can share it. I know there's not a lot in here, you told me, but I think that might be a nice thing to do. Tell me what you think, and whether you think that would be a good idea so that we could sip it together in your home country. I don't even know if that would be possible. But thank you so, so much. And I want to make it clear that Aquavitae, this channel, does not ever get free stuff. I don't get paid. I don't get nudges. I don't get encouragement. I don't get sponsored by anybody from the industry, by any producers, by any agencies or marketers working on behalf of the industry. Nothing. I am funded by you, fully funded by you. And the gifts and samples that I receive, occasionally I get things like when I was up at Deanston, I was driving, so they gave me a sample to take away and things like that. So the samples that, you know, Joe Public get, that's the samples I'm happy to accept. But the samples that come from the industry, that's when they contact me, I tend to be polite and decline it, unless it's something that's really going to be hard to get and there's no strings attached or something like that. I suppose I would consider it. But I am absolutely funded by you guys, and that's the way it always has to be. It's the modern way of doing things. the old days of print and industry control and messaging and things like that is long gone. The Mash and Drum, Jason, my friend, he's given me a donation from across the channel, bringing some fantastic stuff. I need to tell you about a Mash and Drum video. Go and watch Mash and Drum on his channel, The Mash and Drum. Jason, his Lagavulin 8 review. Somebody has noticed it before me. I think it was Sippers Social Club, another new channel, a fantastic channel. He noticed it as well at the same time as I did. I went into the comments to leave a timestamp so that people could skip straight to the point that he sipped his first ever Lagavulin. And his reaction is caught on camera. And you can see it. It physically shakes him. Quite a fantastic, fantastic video. Go to the Mash and Drum channel. There's 240 of you watching now. Jason, I hope that some people come along, have a wee look at what you're doing, because it's superb, big guy. I want you to do more of that. It's wonderful to behold. But go straight to his Lagavulin 8 video and see his reaction to his first ever, might be his first ever Isla, but certainly his first ever Lagavulin. Jason, my friend Jason, fantastic. Thank you so much, Jason, for your recent support. You've been wonderful to me recently. He's saying, glad you stay impartial. It should be funded and celebrated. Thanks for your efforts. Now, Jason is a patron of mine as well. So that's double. He's doubling up there by donating that money to me. Jason, I thank you very, very much. I'll raise this glass of Glendronach Revival and say thank you for that. And thank you to Jason at Mash and Drum as well. And if you'll permit me, just to cover the Patreon thing, because it's a big deal. It's a really big deal. I don't jump on screen and I don't talk about, oh, yeah, I hit 3,000 subscribers. I hit 4K subscribers. That's fantastic. For me, it's about the community. And if I had 40,000 subscribers, but I wasn't getting the interaction, I wasn't getting the feedback, and I wasn't getting to share whiskey, it would mean nothing to me. So the metrics are just the metrics. If I build a community and I build enthusiasm and I build a culture that's interested in sharing whiskey and learning about whiskey and enjoying it together, the metrics will take care of themselves. That's the way I've kind of always been about it. But Patreon is different, because Patreon allows all creators to stay impartial. It doesn't matter what they're creating, whether it's whiskey reviews, train and shoe reviews, gadget reviews, doesn't matter. The industry is then removed from the equation. The industry has to just concentrate on what the industry should be doing, whatever industry they're in, and that's making a good quality product or service that people are going to want to evangelize about. That means that the onus to fund that, there's a new name in as well, it's just given me a fantastic, he's saying cheers from Pete Bogger. Pete Bogger, thank you very much. Jens Roger Christofferson, thank you so much for that donation. That's very, very generous of you. I'll raise my second glass of Glendronach Revival and say thank you so much for that as well. Wonderful, wonderful gesture. Thank you, Jens. Thank you. And I know that I'm pronouncing your name wrong. I'm going to say it's Jens or something, perhaps. I'm sorry. Perhaps you can teach me how I should be pronouncing your name. But welcome, and I think that's the first time I saw you as well, and a very, very cool thing for you to do there. So yeah, the idea is that it puts the power in the hands of the consumer, and they don't need to pay a lot of money. It can be $1, $2.50, $5. It can be little amounts of money just to content that they really enjoy. And the reason that I Patreon so many channels, the reason that I started, because I realized how much YouTube I was watching versus listening to Spotify, paying for Netflix and paying for my Amazon subscription and Now TV, for all of these packages I was paying for, and I wasn't watching any, I was watching YouTube. And of course that content that I was enjoying, I wanted it to endure and I wanted it to continue. So I wanted to support it and encourage that content to happen. And then I realized that what I was doing is that I was removing the bias by doing that. And I think it's an important concept. So in summary, the reason I'm talking about this is that this week, thanks to Travis, now I want to remember Travis's surname. It starts with a K, and I think it's Keltner. I'm going to try and find them just now. But this week, Travis joined my Patreon, and he became my 100th patron. Now, that's significant to me. Travis Keltner, I was right. That's significant to me for a few reasons. Thank you, Travis. Thank you so much for being my 100th patron, and thank you to everybody who's joined since and before then. It's just, it just I'm blown away by the support. It's fantastic. And it gives me a platform inside there, obviously, to connect with you guys and pay back to you guys as well. But earlier this year, I said, if I get to the end of 2018 and I hit 100 patrons, I'm going to take active steps to nurture the channel and not just keep it as parked as a hobby that I get around to when I can. I'm going to take active steps to make changes to what I'm doing in order for me to nurture that channel. Now, that's happened much, much quicker than I imagined. And so there's things going to be put in place that's going to mean that I can actively do things at a different level. I'm going to share more with my patrons who have helped me get there. And I'll gradually, as time goes on, everybody in the community will see that happening, I hope, if I achieve what I want to achieve. But it's just a wonderful thing, and it needs a celebration. And the celebration is opening a bottle gifted to me by a patron tonight, of course. Thank you very, very much, my friend. Macallan Fine Rare, a wonderful gentleman, so great to meet him. But also do a giveaway. Now, of course, it's a Patreon celebration, so the Patreons is what the giveaway is about. It will be a Patreon giveaway, but that's not what I'm about, right? I try to be as inclusive as I can. So this giveaway will have a reward in there for the general community as well, so that everybody can get involved. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to prepare a little care package as a prize for people, and it'll be let's say a curated care package once I understand who's won the package. So it'll be down to kind of shirt size and what they like and things like that, and I'll put together that care package for them. But they don't need to accept that, because there's another prize available as well, and it's tickets to a tasting. And these tickets, I have 2 to give away to patrons, and I have another one to give away to the community. This is you can go to this tasting with me, join me at that tasting, along with potentially other people, members from this community. But this tasting is a charity tasting in the Good Spirits Company in Glasgow on the 11th of November on a Sunday afternoon. So you have to be able to get to Glasgow on the 11th of November to participate in this. If you can't, you won't be excluded, because the care package will be there for you. That will be your alternative to this. But this tasting is not any tasting. This is a very small tasting, 30 or so people in a room, hosted by Ralfy. It's Ralfy's tasting. This is a charity tasting that he does annually. He picks the whiskies himself from his own collection. He brings them along, he shares them with everybody, and everybody can hang out and relax with Ralfy and ask him questions. And he's an absolute gentleman. And it was the highlight of my whiskey tasting year last year. Without doubt, it was just a wonderful afternoon. I was there with the Whiskey Rev and Kilted Moose, Scott Monroe, who's in here tonight. It was a wonderful event. So that's what I'm doing. I need to explain a wee bit more about how that will work. It's going to go to patrons. They will, on a patron-only live stream on Monday night next week, I will draw them live. The patrons are already entering this competition. If you want to enter this competition, if you can get to Glasgow and pick up one of these tickets for Sunday, the 11th of November from 2 to 4 p.m., if you can make it, all you have to do is go into the comments section below and write in capital letters, ticket. Now, that's you committing to being in the draw. I will draw at the same time live on that stream with the patrons, so that everybody can see that it's legit and it's above board and it's a random thing. Siri will draw the numbers probably. And then I will connect with you directly in the comments to let you know that you have won the ticket, and we'll work out how to get hooked up and meet up and things like that. So it's not far away. It's only a month away, Sunday 11th of November. Day after the Glasgow Whisky Festival in Glasgow. If you can make it, in these comments, just write ticket in capital letters. It will stay open. That competition will stay open until Monday night, till the last possible minute. I'll pick up the last possible comment, and then I'll go live with my patrons on Monday night, and I'll close it, and I'll get together with them, and we'll draw the patrons that win, and then of course the member of the community that can pick up the last ticket and hang out with me and a couple of other guys from the community. That's kind of the best idea I could come up with, rather than just kind of, it's difficult to ship whiskey, right? It's very difficult to ship whiskey. I will try to ship you some nice whiskies, some samples and things, if you live in a location that I can do that. But if it's illegal, if I'm going to get into trouble doing that, I can't do that. But I will be able to make it up to you in other ways using the care package idea. I hope that now, by the way, I see people are writing ticket in the comments here, the chat. I can't go through the live chat. Please comment on the video. You can either do that now or you can do it after the event. Please comment on the video. And it would be wonderful to hook up with 3 of you guys on a Sunday afternoon in Glasgow and go along and hang out at a Ralfy tasting. I can't think of anything more enjoyable. A lot of talking. Okay, we're just over the hour mark. Getting through a few things here. There's a bottle over my shoulder here as well that I thought about opening tonight, and I really, really want to open it. I'm desperate to open it, but I'll tell you a little story about this. I think I'm going to open it next week. This is one of the most difficult bottles to pick up, and I mean that literally and figuratively speaking, right? This is a Longmorn 16. You must have heard me raving about this whiskey if you follow me at all for any length of time. But if you ever try and pick up this box, it's dangerous. You need to be careful. And it's always been like this. The design has always been like this. But specifically, this is this kind of brown and green box of Longmorn 16 that came out in about maybe 2013, but I think it was 2014. And it was a whiskey rev that got me onto this. He said, yeah, you should look out for some of that Longmorn. And then I saw it in the airport one day. It was £49. I brought a bottle, brought it home. Liked it from the get-go, but it was a neck pour. As the bottle went down, I grew to absolutely love it. And eventually I went to, I picked up another 2 bottles immediately, one for myself, one for the whiskey rev. He exchanged one with me, bought another bottle or 2 after that, and eventually it was made, it was discontinued. And very, very quickly the price started to creep up. The last time I bought one before this, I bought it at auction, paid £90 for it. Or thereabouts, something like that. This one was in the collection of a friend of mine and a friend of this community, Alan Wilson. And he reached out to me when he knew how much I loved this and said, I've got one and I'll sell you it for cost. And that's what he did. He sold me this bottle for cost. And he sold me it because he knew that there was a good chance I was going to open this and drink this and share it, rather than put it in the cupboard and save it until it accrues in value. And I have to be honest, he was absolutely right about how fast this would accrue and go up in value. So I am not going to keep this sealed. In the spirit of the trade that we arranged, Alan and I, this, I was going to open it tonight, but I think it needs some time to open on its own and be its own subject. I'm going to open this on the next live stream, which is not 2 weeks from now, as it normally would be. I'll be in Italy 2 weeks from now. The next live stream is 1 week from tonight. I've had to pull it forward and bring it forward a week earlier. So very, very quickly in the next couple of days, I'll be releasing details for the next live stream. It'll be 1 week from now. Rather than miss a live stream in October altogether, I'm just kind of pulling it forward a wee bit earlier. That's the first one I've ever had to do that with. And it's coming up on a year, so it's kind of not bad. So I think this Longmorn deserves its own kind of moment, right? Its own audience. And it's such a different animal from, despite these being kind of very similar location, although Glendronach is technically a Highland whiskey, and Longmorn a 16. That's a much lighter, more fruity, tropical, malt-driven prospect. Whereas this is all about the spice and wow. Just to get a big nose of clove and orange. This is from the newer version. Craig Dollier, my friend, is saying Longmorn 16 should complement a village curry nicely. Well, of course you're going to get a dram out of it, big guy, but I don't know if it's going to be alongside a curry. Fantastic. Multi-Haggis Muncher is in. Vin from No Nonsense Whiskey is in. Fantastic, Vin. Good to see you. Marcus is in. Marcus, fantastic to see you. Marcus Heinonen or Heinonen. Malt Chronicles is in. Bart, great to see you. Gillian, I've mentioned you already tonight, Gillian. And Chris Witham is in. Fantastic. Chris Danny is in from the East Coast of the US. Superb, but just a brilliant, brilliant show tonight. Really, really busy chat. Don't know how to play this tonight, whether my monologues. I've just mentioned guests as well. I haven't ditched the idea of guests. But rather than just kind of having kind of the same guests and the same guests and the easy guests and the easy to arrange guests, all these really kind of cool collaborative guests that I will still have, I'm kind of trying to see how I can get guests that will bring a very specific value, a nice, enjoyable, fun prospect. And one of the things I thought about doing was hooking up with its bourbon night. Because I'm an ignoramus about bourbon, and because they're still tippy-toeing with Scotch and not really understanding it, what I thought we'd do is either do one night or 2 nights on 2 separate streams on each other's channels. And they're very, very open to this. Where we teach each other about each other's love, each other's passion, and exchange samples somehow, and then kind of do an almost bourbon for beginners or Scotch for beginners type experience on each other's channels. They're open to this idea, and it's just been down to me not finding the time or not forcing myself to find the time to arrange it yet. But it's coming. These guys are open to collaborating, and I'd love to hang out with those guys on a stream. Chad and Sarah are lovely, lovely, genuine, generous, kind people. I loved meeting them when I was over in the States, and I think a collaboration with that at the core of it could be fun for everybody. What do you think about that? Graham is saying that sounds like a great plan. I'm glad you agree. Superb. Kenneth Kennelty, fantastic to see you, Kenneth. He's saying he likes that. Gus is in as well. Gus, fantastic to see you. I think I got a message from you earlier to suggest that you might be able to pick up one of those Ralfy tickets. Would be fantastic. 16 likes, please. You're after 16 likes. What are you after, Amy? Are you chasing something? Amy, you're awesome. You're just awesome. So before we switch to I've talked about the Frankfurt trip, I think. Really excited about that. That would be cool. So if anybody is going to make it to Germany, don't kind of look from a distance and say, there's that guy from the YouTube thing. Come over if you want, of course, and say hello. Don't be shy. Just a handshake, say hello, tell me who you are. That would be fantastic. Aaron D'Angelo is in, superb. 150 likes. Is that what Amy's chasing? Superb. Superb. And yeah, I mean, I'm really, really desperate to come down to the London Whisky Club as well. Jason Whiskey Wise, Shiv is down there, Jez is down there, James Hope, Mikey Hay, the guy I got to meet recently, just to go down and hang out with those guys and have a night down in London with them. It'd just be good to get out in the community and do that kind of smashing together of the virtual and the real worlds. A bit like that, this concept about this tasting, this prize giveaway. I want to do more of that. It's brilliant. Alan is saying, looking forward to you opening the Longmore next week. Sorry, Alan. I know that you might have saw that over my shoulder and I thought, he's going to open that tonight. But I think it deserves its own moment. It deserves its own time. And there's such a kind of story about that Longmorn 16 as a distillery, and that specific expression. Then I think it's a good idea to give it its own environment. Jessica's saying the collab is a fantastic idea. I myself am super new to bourbon and consider myself a Scotch kind of girl. Good for you, Jessica. But I think it's important to try and I think it's, again, I suffer a wee bit because I'm in Scotland. I suffer from being here, that it's harder for us to kind of take our attention and try new things. But little by little, I'm learning. And I've always tried to be open-minded, but some of it's hard to get here, right? But I'm learning that there's some fantastic whiskey experiences to be had. Simon Ray is saying, Aquavita, will you be doing any filming in Frankfurt? Do you know what? I'd love to. It's a great idea, and I thought about it. It would be great to make a kind of video concept about my trip to Frankfurt. And I may still do that. There's a good chance I may still do that. But I have to be honest with you, Simon, that if you do that, a lot of your concentration has to go into making the video rather than enjoying being there in the moment in the event, which is fine. It's absolutely fine. And I have to remember that I do exist on YouTube, of course, and I need to create content. when I was in Texas, my full intention was to make a great video about Texas. I came home with virtually no usable footage because I was just so caught up in the atmosphere and the sense of community and getting to meet so many people and hang out with so many people and try so many nice whiskies that the video with the camera just get thrown in the bag eventually. And it was an afterthought, and some of the footage I ended up using was kind of things that was grabbed quickly in my smartphone. But Simon, I will keep it in mind, and I think I may try. There will be other guys there. I mean, Hoagie's going to be there, and the doc, Macallan Fine Rare, will be there as well. But I think Whiskey Jason, who I think I saw in tonight, does a lot of kind of event-type videos. So he might be going around there with his camera as well. I need to try my best to hide from Jason if he's doing that. Everyone is saying, so you're going to buy the new version of the Glendronach 15 once this bottle is gone? Do you mean replace that one? So the one I've opened is the new version, and I haven't opened the old version. I instead dipped into a sample of the Glendronach 15-year-old revival from the old version, from the Scotch Test Dummies, which is from the bottle that they reviewed on their channel. To answer your question. And Iladi is saying, Rombout is saying, Aquaviti, try Noah's Mill. Yeah, Noah's Mill, a lot of people have been telling me Angel's Envy is another one to try. Phil is saying, got to go, great content again tonight, till next time. Thank you very much for that, Phil. It's been a bit of a I don't know what it's been tonight. It's been a bit of a comparison for two whiskies and not much else, I think. But yes, I think, like I say, I'm just the barkeep, right? If you guys are turning up and you're enjoying just hanging out in the chat and speaking to each other, then that is an accomplishment. It really, really is. And the doc is saying, Aquaviti, let's just have fun. Amen to that, my friend. And as I sip the last of your kind gift to me from this wee glass, I very, very much look forward to that. My wife's in tonight saying thanks to Hoyt. She's saying, I'm often here quietly in the background. She's somewhere in the house watching this. She's usually watching something else, but hello, wife. And Jason, Whiskey Jason is saying, no hiding. Fantastic. Tom Harris saying quiz tonight. Absolutely, Tom. It's getting about 5 or 10 minutes away from the quiz. Just tidy things up, just hang out with you guys for a couple of minutes and then get the quiz on the way. Everybody, all the new people that are here tonight, still 167 of you in, quite a busy room tonight. So if you are here for the first time, the quiz is always parked at the end because it's quite a geeky thing. And the quiz is just a bit of fun. You keep your own scores and you share what your scores are. Nobody is marking you, you just mark yourself. And it's really to measure yourself and just have a bit of fun. And the concept behind the quiz is to maybe stimulate a little bit of learning through factoids and interesting little snippets here and there. I think the problem comes with the quiz when the Whiskey Rev contributes questions, right? These infamous questions. And yes, there's a couple of Whiskey Rev questions in this quiz tonight, just to kind of try to separate the casual whiskey lovers from the geeks, I suppose. Kieran, fantastic Kieran, he's in and he's given me a wee donation. Superb, my friend. Hey, Roy, great show as ever. You know me, I dip in and out. I do know you, Kieran. It's fantastic to have you again and welcome you back. It strikes my Glendronach is Glendronach is capitalizing on its success. It's a company set up for the benefit of its shareholders, isn't it? Well, it's owned by Brown-Forman now, of course it is. And if a company invests in success and they're able to cash in on that, how much do we grudge it? Don't grudge it based on, it used to be £40 and it's now £60 or £70. That's not fair because it can have been investing in its future at that time. What you need to judge it on is how it's positioned against its peers, how much the value of how much the whiskey means to you as a value prospect based on what it's worth now in the current whiskey landscape. If we lament the prices that used to be, we'll never enjoy whiskey because it can't stay the same. I know it's moving far too fast, and I know that there's a lot of cynical things happening out there. That's the reason for this community. And let me tell you something. I put out 2 videos recently that were super well received, did really well. And that was great fun and a buzz for me. But what was utterly compelling about it was the comment streams in both those videos are absolutely full of informed opinion and wisdom, and more than anything, perspective. And some of the comments in those under those videos really have you stopping and thinking. Because what it costs me to buy that Glendronach will not be the same as it costs in the States. Lagavulin 16 is a very inexpensive, certainly for a 16-year-old, bottle in the UK, but in the States it's often very expensive. So when we're talking and when we share our opinions of whiskey, it's often, in fact, it's completely tainted by our own personal perspective based on our experience, our place in our journey, our location globally, or whatever it may be. But when you dive into those comment sections, you just, the depth of experience and perspective that is there, I urge you, when you're watching these YouTube videos and you're watching these reviews or whatever they may be, dip into the comments, scroll down and pick out a few comments. The knowledge that's in there is phenomenal. It's really something to be celebrated. And that's that community thing. That's that shared. Now, of course, not everybody's an expert. Somebody's just going to have opinions. Somebody's knowledge is going to be flawed or mistaken. But, you know, you apply rational intelligence to everything. Bourbon Rye Scotch, welcome in. He's saying, hi, Aquaviti collab with Chad and Sarah is a great idea. It was bourbon that led me to Scotch. Fantastic. And I really believe that if you can appreciate Scotch, you can appreciate bourbon, or other way around. I think that's absolutely true. But the sweet profile and the you know, what bourbon actually is as a whiskey prospect can be quite far removed from the majority of Scotches, which I think is a fantastic thing, by the way. But I can understand how people make the transition. The transition can be challenging sometimes. It certainly was to me. Bourbon always smacked me of being overly sweet to my palate, but I'm really, really loving it right now. Some American whiskies I'm really loving as well. And it was Elijah Craig Barrel Proof, Jack Daniel's Single Barrel Proof, which I got a sample of from Triple Cap. I don't know if he's in tonight. It's been a while since I've seen Triple Cap around, actually. But he brought me that, and the Scotch Taste Dummies gave me some Elijah Craig Barrel Proof. Completely changed my perspective of what American whiskey can be, and then gave my palate a different perspective going forward from there. It meant that when I was sipping bourbon, I didn't have to have cask strength bourbon all the time. It just gave me an idea of the flavors in bourbon doesn't have to be all about the caramel and the toffee and the sweet and the slightly sickly as I used to find it. Don't find that anymore. Zach Andrews, my friend, thank you very much. He's saying, Roy, we should always be open to new whiskey wherever it's from. Great show as always. I like the idea for a collab with Chad and Sarah. Fantastic. I'm really excited about it as well. I've just been very lazy. I do need to get in touch with those guys and make sure that I can make that happen. It's fully, the ball's fully in my court, by the way. I'm not waiting for them. They're waiting for me. And Dwayne is saying, Aquaviti, that's so true, Roy. Thanks, Dwayne. Dwayne, I think you're over here later in October, aren't you? Or is it November you're here? So many people coming in and out of the country. Superb, everybody. Let's get the wheels on for this quiz. Now, Amy, who's been chasing the likes up tonight, she's probably going to fail now because the quiz is going to have everybody's concentration taken away. You watch the retention on these videos, when the quiz comes, there's a drop. And I always say that I don't mind that. That's okay. If you want to take your leave now and the quiz isn't for you, that's okay. I understand completely. But it's fun and it's open and nobody cares if you do poorly. Some of the best comments that I've had in these live streams is from people frustrated about the quiz, which is really, really cool. Jason Whiskey Wise, yes, you're in, my friend. Superb. So you can help control the quiz questions tonight and set up the divisions for questions. Have I got everything here? Am I in a position to be able to do this? Not quite. Almost, though. Yes, we have a quiz. We do have a quiz. Share the quiz. There we go. Now, what the quiz is 10 questions, multiple choice. So you have a 33% chance of getting every question right. And you keep your own scores. You really do. You're the only person that you're trying to compete with is yourself and your own kind of whiskey knowledge. Let's see. Do that, and I'll try to. It's my wife's laptop I use for this, and it's set up slightly differently from mine. And it doesn't want to work tonight. Let's give it a minute to breathe. Danny's having a go at Jason Whiskey Wise. Jason did a fantastic review recently, actually, on the new Old Pulteney range. But what strikes me about the new Old Pulteney range is the price, right? I think, now don't quote me on this, but in the UK, from a UK perspective, the Old Pulteney 17, which was a fantastic whiskey, still is a fantastic whiskey. I think it's still available in most places. It was in the order of £75, £80. And the new 18 is well over £100. So yeah, that's a wee bit unfortunate. That's a huge price hike. Now, I'm not suggesting that Old Pulteney are being cynical. I'm sure they've got a reason for that, but that's difficult to swallow because their 18-year-old is more expensive than their 21-year-old used to be when it was out on the shelf. Now, you may argue the same as I just have, that Old Pulteney have spent a lot of time investing in the value of their product, and now they're in a position where they can cash in. But I am not actually sure that that's the case. I think that they're pitching it at the market value of an 18-year-old and perhaps a wee bit more. What we need to do now with Old Pulteney is, as I've already said, is not judge it based on what the old 17 and 21 used to be, but judge it on its own merits compared to its peers. But it's more difficult for you to invest. What you're going to have to do now is going to go out and find intelligence, try a bar pour or get a sample from a friend first. So I have to be honest, that's harder for me to do. When I was paying £76, £78 for an Old Pulteney 17, to go out and pay 110, 118 for the Old Pulteney 18 for 1 extra year of maturation and a nice new label, it's difficult. And I'm talking about a distillery that I love. Anyway, Jason, are we ready for the quiz? How is everybody feeling? It's dropped down to 144 people. We're coming down to more kind of quiz-orientated volumes of people. Just want to make sure I've covered everything tonight. I talked about my samples. I talked about Germany. I talked about... there's one thing I didn't talk about, but I'm going to talk about it next week because it's okay. Scotch Test Dummies are doing a collaboration with Matthew down in Texas, and they're doing a kind of live stream together, but we've got time for that because it's the 27th of October, and I'll fill you in on how cool a thing that is next week. Jason is saying yes. Okay, let's set us up for question one, big guy. Let's have a go at this quiz. I've got some nice, fresh, cool water here. Good luck, everyone. Thanks to everybody if you're leaving before the quiz starts. Thanks for joining tonight. And the ones that are staying for the quiz, fantastic. Let's get our quiz face on. Try and set this up so that you can see the quiz screen. I'll double check the chat. And I'll say good night to Marcus Hainanen. Good night, my friend. You're not staying for the quiz tonight, but I will put the link in the description so you can participate live or download it and do it offline yourself. Let's roll into question one. And this is a Diageo question. It's an interesting one. Cardew introduced its famous pure malt in 2002. In order to keep up with demand, it was blended with which other malt? This was a very controversial thing that Diageo did. Cardew suddenly switched from being a single malt to a blended malt with no clear marking on the packaging. It did say on the packaging, but it was the same branding and everything else. People just bought it thinking it was Cardew, but obviously it was a blended malt rather than a single malt, and it completely redefined how whiskey was categorized going forward from that point. and Cardew had to withdraw all the pure malt from sale. Was it blended with Cardew and Glenord, A, B, Cardew and Dufton, or C, Cardew and Glendullan? So, Jason is saying, damn duplicates. What is that about? My goodness. So was Cardew blended with A, Glenord, B, Dufton, or C, Glendullan? I'm going to wait till the answers start rolling in before I reveal it to you. Try not to give you so much time that you're able to quickly Google it, right? And I'll be honest and I'll tell you, I didn't know this. Lots of you coming in, lots of people thinking A. Oh, lots of, this is splitting the room. Wow. Lots of people saying B. John Paul Vanderhoven says C. Nice to have you in, John Paul. Jimmy Jazz is also saying C. Russell is saying B. Mark Goins is saying I'm waiting off to tee off. Christina. So you're copying each other already. Well, let's move on and see what it is. Glendullan is the answer. So Cardew in 2002, in order to keep up with the demand, which was mostly drawn from Spain, Spanish people love their Cardew 12-year-old. Occasionally it's lost its age statement over time as well because of demand and things like that. But Diageo tried to spin out the stocks a bit by blending it with Glendullan and still calling it Cardew. Naughty Diageo. They'll not be doing that again anytime soon. So if you've answered C, give yourself a point. And so many of you that answered A or B, you're on a donut already, I'm afraid. It is Glendullan C. So let's move on to question 2. This is an interesting one as well. Which distillery opened the first visitor centre in 1969? Now, of course, I'm talking about Scotland here. I'm talking about Scottish visitor centres or visitor experiences or distillery visitor centres, whatever you want to call them. I'm talking about the first one that was opened to the general public in Scotland. Was it Glenlivet, Glenfiddich, or Cardew? So was it A, Glenlivet, B, Glenfiddich, or C, Cardew? This was back in 1969, which actually, when you think about it, that's a long time ago. It's almost 50 years ago, right? Amy's saying got 150. Amy, I love you. You're just awesome. Fantastic. Fantastic. Thank you, guys. Everybody's jumping in. Everybody's shouting and saying from the rooftops that they think it's B. A couple of people think it's A. Does anybody think it's Cardew at C? I think the popular answer here is that the first distillery visitor centre was opened in 1969 at B, Glenfiddich. So, of course, everybody that has answered Glenfiddich gets a wee point there. This Glendronach 15 is fantastic. Love it, love it, love it. Wanted to open one of Rob's samples tonight. I'm going to need to just get on a collaborative or something, do a live with Rob and get to them then. Too many samples and not enough drinking time. I'm going to take some whiskey away with me on a trip this weekend and see if I can get through some. Okay, let's move on to question 3. Another cool one. What is widely regarded to be the first official bottling of a cask strength single malt? Now let me explain there. Cask strength is a concept that it doesn't necessarily mean exactly, it's not, if it's a single cask, it's meant to be undiluted, the strength that it came directly from the cask. But often these things are vatted just the same as a regular bottling would be. So cask strength doesn't actually have a very tightly defined legal definition. But what we're looking for here is the first one that was officially marketed by the distillery themselves as a cask strength single malt release. Was it Aberlour Abuna? Was it Glenfarclas 105? Or was it a Glenlivet Nadura? So there you go. What was the first cask strength release official bottling, or widely regarded to be so? That's the language I need to use because there's always the chance that there's this kind of really obscure cask strength official bottling, and it's wrong. But generally speaking, the one that started it all is it A, Aberlour Abuna, B, Glenfarclas 105, or C, Glenlivet Nadura? People are saying B. Loads of people saying B. They think that 105 is the cask strength genesis. A couple of people think A. Our baggy is thinking it's the Abuna. Mosey Chun is thinking, nice to see you in, Mosey, as well. He's saying A. Russell is saying A. But the vast majority of you thinking, Mark Goins is in, fantastic, Mark. Island Hopper Stewart is saying B, fantastic to have you in. That looks like a new name to me. Victor is in, Victor E is saying 105 B, fantastic, Victor. Let's see if Victor and the rest of you who answered B is correct. It is indeed Glenfarclas 105, widely regarded to be the first ever official bottling of a cask release product. Quite a cool question, I thought. As we move into question 4. Really, it's an image, and you know what the question is. Is Alan's drinking his work in progress? He's saying it's awesome. I really, really enjoyed mine tonight, Alan. It was fantastic. Just a great whiskey, Colker, and I'm really glad that they're there. So as you look at this photo that's on your screen just now, that is a distillery, and I want you to tell me, is that Ardnahoe on Islay? Is it Torraveg on Skye? Or is it Ardnamurchan in the Western Highlands? Is it A, Ardnahoe, B, Torraveg, or C, Ardnamurchan? Now, I shouldn't really switch back to me because you need to be able to see that image and keep your eye on it. See what folk are saying. Scott Kilton Moose is saying B, Torraveg. Whiskey Jason is saying A. The Alchemist is saying A. Wow, they're all over the place there. Zach Andrews, C. Macallan Fine Rare, C. Bertram, Travis, Simon. Wow, I'm not even keeping up with these. Caskmate, fantastic to have you in. Lots of answers piling in. So I just need to put you out your misery. Connor Strang is in. Fantastic, Connor. I hope you caught the start of this quiz. Connor, A student. What is Connor saying? He's saying it's Ardnamurchan. Well, there's a very good chance that if you're going to copy anyone, you should copy Connor Strang. And I should actually start to encourage people like Connor and the Hoagies, Macallan Fine Rare, to answer close to the end of the question, right? Anyway, let's put you out your misery. It is, in fact, Ardnamurchan, owned by Adelphi on the Western Highlands. So if you answered C for Ardnamurchan, you give yourself a point. As we move into question 5, and at the halfway point, I'll ask you how you're doing and you can share your scores with me. 5, the largest bottle of Scotch whisky in the world was a 105-litre bottle. Okay, that would just about keep this party going, I think. It was a 14-year-old Speyside from which distillery? Now, I did know this, and I don't know how I knew this. Was it A, a bottle of Glenturret? Was it B, a 105-litre bottle of Glenfarclas? Or was it C, a 105-litre bottle of Tomintoul? Was it A, Glenturret, B, Glenfarclas, or C, Tomintoul? Caskmate has just made a donation. Thank you very, very much. I have to remember to keep these chats up so I can see these things. Caskmate, that's fantastic. You chose not to leave a comment or tell me anything. But you can, if you use these super chat functions and you are going to donate something that I can raise a glass to you and say thank you very, very much, use the opportunity to share a comment. Of course, it's optional. It's up to you guys. But it's a fantastic way to do that. Glendronach 15, revival. Just getting better and better in the glass. My palate is swinging in now as well. I love whiskey. So, all over the place here. Nobody knows for sure, right? So let's switch back and tell you that the 105-litre bottle was made by Tomintoul. Now, it was sold at the Whiskey Castle shop and on display there, and I think it's still on display there now. but it is in fact a bottle of Tom and Towel. So you give yourself a point if you answered C. Steve A is saying that would keep us going for an evening aquavite, maybe a little bit to start the next afternoon. Superb, Steve. I think you're right. 105 litres. It's kind of it's almost a bottle each, right? 132 of us just now. Whiskey Yoshi's in. Fantastic. Yoji, good to see you. And no, I misspelled your name on the last video. I apologise, my friend. Your humility was very, very much appreciated with that. It's corrected. The next video will go out and your name will be spelt properly. Thank you for pointing out to me, my friend. And if you see your name spelt wrong at the end of a video, if you see your name missing or something, please reach out. Because what I have to do is I have to go in and take a kind of snapshot and download a CSV and make sure, try and tie it up, make sure it's up to date and things. And sometimes I make wee mistakes. So yeah, don't be shy about pointing that out to me. So what's the scores pouring in now? Wow. Chris Witham, 3 out of 5. Not bad at all. Jimmy Jazz, 1 out of 5. Not bad, Jimmy. Don't worry about it. Still got a chance to recover. Zach Andrews, 4 out of 6. What? 6? Well, if you've answered 4, that's 4 out of 5, Zach. Superb. Rolf is on 3 out of 5. Superb. I'm looking for any 5 out of 5s. Are we going to get nobody with a 5 out of 5 tonight? Let's see. Yoji's saying it was hilarious. Thank you, my friend. Thank you. No, it doesn't look like there's any 5 out of 5s. Simon Ray is saying would like to see the Amazon lorry required for 105 litre distillery. Alexa. Superb. Okay, good. Let's put you into the second half of the quiz. Nobody is claiming a 5 out of 5 tonight. Connor, I've been looking for you. Connor, 4 out of 5. First question caught me. Oh dear. What was that one? Was that the Glendronach Cardew one? That's encouraging to me, Connor. It's encouraging that that there's some things that you can still get wrong. That's kind of cool, but still 4 out of 5. I think you're the man to chase tonight, right? Maybe Zach Andrews as well. Looks like he's on 4 as well. Okay, as we move into question 6. Molten Mike's just dropped in. Hey, Mike, good to welcome you in. Now the kids are eventually asleep. I've joined in. I'll be far too late. Apologies, Roy. A dram and a chill with you guys before bed. Good, you're welcome in here, Mike. Why don't you give yourself a challenge as we go into these last 5 questions? Caught some of your quiz that you were doing last night. I'm sorry I didn't get to catch all of it, but it's there on the replay. I'll catch a bit of that a wee bit later. Question 6 is, which distilleries' bottlings have featured the motto, Westering Home? Now, I have to be specific here. Have featured. They don't necessarily always have this motto, but they are well known to have this motto, and a lot of their bottlings say this, but not all the time. So that's why I've worded it like that. Which distilleries' bottlings have featured the motto, Westering Home? Is it A, Old Pulteney? Is it B, Talisker? Or is it C, Bunnahabhain? Where have you seen, ever in your life, the motto, Westering Home? A, Old Pulteney, B, Talisker, or C, Bunnahabhain? Okay, lots of people are taking the time to spell out Bunnahabhain. That's quite amazing. I'm going to pour a wee bit more of this. I've got some Coquerin to finish, actually. I'll finish that first. Wow, everybody seems to think it's Bunnahabhain. C. A couple of people, John Paul. I think it's B. Wow. Heavily towards Bunnahabhain. Let's see. Westering Home can often be seen on bottles by, of course, Bunnahabhain, under the stewardship or the helmsman himself. I guess that's the guy who drives the boat, right? Okay, let's go into question 7. I like this question. I like this subject. I like this. It's fascinating to me. In 1988, United Distillers, as they were, Diageo was known at that time, United Distillers released a revolutionary range of 6 regional malts called the Classic Malts. It did not feature. So what I'm looking for here So I'm looking for the original 6 classic malts that really started that whole regionality concept in Scotch whisky, and it drove it into the kind of whisky psyche, the idea that there was regions in Scotch, and you could have perceptible differences between regions, which still endure to this day, despite the fact that they're largely redundant, but still a very clever mechanic, especially when you're teaching people about whisky and trying to bring them into whisky in a kind of huge generalized bucket at a time. But it was so successful, so profound, that it really defined modern single malt whiskey as we drink it now. Fantastic concept. But these original 6 single malts, called the classic malts, did not feature one of these 3 I'm going to share with you. A, Dalwhinnie, B, Cardew, or C, Cragganmore. Greg, if you're having a problem with a delay, you might want to, if it's just out of sync, just refresh it. Just refresh the screen, and you might have found that it's just kind of buffered or paused, and you found that it's not synced up. I find if I do a browser refresh, it sometimes catches up. You might lose a question or something. It just happens. Sometimes it's a pain, I know. Okay, lots of people answering all over the place. You seem to know your classic malts, or you're confident that you do anyway, because everybody's thinking B, that Cardew was not in the original lineup. And I'm suddenly aware that Cardew has appeared in 3 quiz questions tonight, either as a potential answer or as part of the core question. Connor Strang is saying B, was expecting Clynelish or Caol Ila as an option. Okay, let's put you out your misery. And yes, B, Cardew was not the original classic malts. The original classic malts, I always forget one. Glenkinchie, Lagavulin, Talisker, Oban, Cragganmore, Dalwhinnie. There you go. The original 6 classic malts. As we go into question 8. Which famous whisky writer played a caricature of himself in The Angel's Share? Now, caricature might be the wrong word here, actually, because he didn't really play a caricature of himself. He pretty much just played himself under a different name. This is kind of a giveaway question, but if you've not seen the movie Angel's Share, I heartily recommend it. It's a fantastic film. Was it A, Ian Buxton, B, Dave Broom, C, Charles MacLean? Which of those 3 writers, A, Ian Buxton, B, Dave Broom, or C, Charles MacLean, played themselves under a different name in the movie The Angel's Share? Giveaway question, perhaps. Interesting fact, the closing scene to that movie where they get in the Type 2 Volkswagen camper van and they kind of drive up the hill, they're actually driving up to a dead end. At the top of that hill, he's gone off to meet his new horizons, right? In the movie, he's gone off to find these new adventures and his new life and things. I hope I'm not spoiling the movie for you. But anyway, the closing scene to that film, he's driving to a dead end. And the reason I know that is because it's this road here outside my house. So the closing scene of that movie is filmed right out there. Great movie, fantastic movie. You should watch it. Great whiskey scenes in it, whiskey culture in it, well, whiskey references right and left. The whole malt mill thing is fantastic. But yes, most of you, in fact, pretty much everyone I've seen knows that Charles MacLean played himself pretty much in the movie The Angel's Share. So let's go on to question 9. Only 2 left to go, guys. We're getting on for, I'm going to try my hardest to keep it under the 2-hour mark. Fermentation creates heat, ethanol, and which other main product? So yeah, I like to throw in the whiskey production ones now and again, but we're looking for the other thing that fermentation creates. Is it A, carbon dioxide, B, carbon monoxide, C, ethyl alcohol? So during the process of fermentation, so that's when they take the wort, they put it in the wash back, they add their yeast, and they ferment it. It's producing A, carbon dioxide, B, carbon monoxide, or C, ethyl alcohol, alongside heat and ethanol. Nigel Slynn is saying now you'll have 200 people turn up at your... yeah. Well, they'll kind of be in the neighbourhood, which is fine, right, Nigel? And I'm okay with that. There's enough whiskey here to go round, right? Fantastic. Whiskey Yoji is saying happiness. Superb. The Alchemist is saying science, baby. Yeah, he's the guy. He's the guy that you want to be copying on this question. Okay, here we go. It's A. Fermentation creates heat, ethanol, and carbon dioxide. Ethanol is essentially the alcohol that we're after, of course. So the ethyl alcohol thing was in there as a bit of a distraction. It's carbon dioxide. I was hoping that some of you would get confused between carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide, but you're all too smart for that. Yes, carbon dioxide. So if you answered A, give yourself a point as we go on to the last question, which is a world whiskey question. I always like to put one of these. And the only thing I missed out tonight, and I was aware of it a few minutes before the live started, but I forgot my whiskey tube question. I don't think I had a whiskey tube, a whiskey YouTube question. Anyway, question 10, which of these Australian distilleries is not in Tasmania? Apologies. Which of these Australian distilleries is not in Tasmania? Is it A, Bakery Hill, B, Sullivan's Cove, or C, Lark? A, Bakery Hill, B, Sullivan's Cove, or C, Lark. Now I'm wondering what to pour. I'm actually going to pour one of these that I have been desperate to crack open out of pure curiosity. And I didn't even notice when I first looked at this bottle, I didn't pick up that it was a Cava fan pick. This is the Macallan Oloroso Sherry at 58.6%. From Rob, Whiskey in the Six. You star. Thank you, Rob. I've tried a couple of these in the past. Very, very clean sherry experiences. Wow. I have to say, I think I could pick that out as a Macallan, or not necessarily a Macallan, but I could pick it out as a non-Scotch. It's got a very, very slight, but not off-putting at all, I don't mean this in any way, acetone chemical note to it. Very, very sweet and rich and very tempting and mouth-watering in the nose, though. So what are we all saying? We're all over the place on this one, are we? We've got A's. Aaron D'Angelo is saying D. Malt Chronicles think C, C, C. Okay, let's see. For the last question, the one that's not in Tasmania is, in fact, Bakery Hill. Now, I know that you're probably going to ask me where that is, but I've forgotten already. But it's not in Tasmania. It's only one of the three that's not in Tasmania. So there we have it. 10 questions. Let's be honest with yourself, be honest with your community. And only if you want to, it's optional, of course, share what you scored. Our baggie is saying, are you at work tomorrow? No, I'm heading to the Lake District. We're going to head down to for a weekend away. It's half term here, Andy. So Friday to Monday, we're taking a trip with the kids. So I'm not working tomorrow. Well, Chronicles never go against the grain in the quiz. Macallan Fine Rare got 8 out of 10. Fantastic. Caskmate is celebrating 8 out of 10. Superb. Cascode is, oh, fantastic, Cascode. Welcome in. Must be early in the morning for you. Wonderful to have you in. You're from Australia. And I guess you're telling us that you're either from Melbourne, and I think you're from Sydney, or perhaps Bakery Hill is a Melbourne distillery. I think that's more likely to be the case. Superb. Connor got 9 out of 10. That first question tripping you up, big guy. Superb, superb. Great score. Fantastic score. Chris got 8 out of 10. Superb. Victor, 7. Acupsis. I'm going to suggest that that's Acupsis. That's the best I can do, my friend. Sorry. 7 out of 10. Great score. Bart, Malt Chronicles, 7 out of 10. Per, 7 out of 10. Superb. Kilted Moose Scott, a game of two halves. Happy with that. It's 6 out of 10. Fantastic. 6 out of 10 for Andy as well. Simon Ray, Nigel Slynn, and Cap and Make It Happen, all getting 8. Jimmy Jazz, 4. Good recovery, Jimmy. Well done. Bird Dog 2017, 5 out of 10. Aaron D'Angelo, 100%. Are you fibbing, Aaron? Whiskey Jason, 7 out of 10. 8 out of 10 for Alan Wilson. Good work, my man. Good work, Alan. Mosey is saying 4. Nicholas Burt, 7. Sid Martin, 8. Graham Young, 8. Yoji, officially best score ever. 8 out of 10. So proud of myself. Wow, I think the quiz tonight wasn't a rollover quiz. It wasn't easy. I think there were some tricky ones in there. Wow, this is very juicy, very juicy. Cheers, Rob. Thank you, my friend. Jason Whiskey Wise is admitting that he struggled in the first half and managed a 7 out of 10. No shame in that. Great score, Jason. Fantastic. And thanks for your super, super help again tonight. Sorry you couldn't join me in the live, but if you get a hold of this, Glendronach, wow, how dry is that compared to the other ones I've been having tonight? Bone dry. Like, tongue's just turned into this kind of cracked paving, dry. Palate has just been completely stripped. The fruit and the juiciness is still there, but it's dry. Wow, that's quite an experience. On the back about what I've been having tonight, that finish just hit me. So you wouldn't expect it to be a 58.6% whiskey. Very clean, fresh, refreshing even for a sherry cask. Wow. What a dram. That grabs your attention. Christina Zarpoli is saying, Aquavita, you're making me smarter. Up to 4 out of 10, better than my 2 out of 10 last time. You're doubling up, Christina. Keep coming. We've got more work to do. Fantastic. Well done. Christine Deems is saying 9 out of 10, Christine. Wow, using a completely random choice guessing system. See, every question is a 33% chance of you getting it right. Fantastic. Danny is saying 0 out of 10. Dan, I don't believe you for a minute. I don't believe that for a second. My friend from Carney. Vito is saying 4 out of 10. Dan is shouting cowbell. Have I missed? Yes, I have. Per has just given me a donation. Per, I almost missed that. I hope I haven't missed any other donations tonight. Could be that Jason would shout in and tell me if I had missed anything. Looks like I'm clean. It looks like I'm okay. Per, thank you very, very much. He's saying thank you for tonight's show and quiz. Per, you're very, very welcome. It was a wee bit of a talking marathon for me as usual, but I thank you very much for your generosity and raise a glass of delicious Cavalan. Slancher, Per. It's wonderful to have you. Keep coming back again. Superb. Wow. This really doesn't taste like a Scotch whiskey, I have to say. It doesn't taste like a Scotch sherry whiskey. Nothing wrong with that. It's absolutely delicious. It's a bit of an event whiskey. It does make you sit up and pay attention. And very clean for a sherry experience. Wonderful stuff. Fantastic. So listen, guys, I just want to remind everybody that the next live stream that I do will be a week from now. It's not 2 weeks from now. At the end of the month, I'm away for work. I can't do a live stream, unfortunately, at the end of the month, so I have to pull it forward by a week. Next week, I'll be opening, excuse me, I'm pushing the mic around here. I will be opening that little Longmorn over my shoulder here in celebration of community and the concept of what Alan Wilson was willing to do for me there. He was willing to sell me one of my favourite whiskies that I'm most passionate about at what it cost him when he might have been tempted to keep that for a while when he saw what was happening with the value. So in return, I want to open that and share that with everybody. And I'm going to pour a little sample for him and a couple other people that I know that are keen to get their hands on it again because they miss it, or perhaps because they've never tried it. So I'm going to send out a couple of samples, not least to my friend Alan Wilson. It's been wonderful hanging you out with all tonight again. It's just about to hit the 2-hour mark. I am looking forward to you all participating in this competition. Please type in the comments on the video, not the live comments here. If you can make it to Glasgow on the 11th of November, Sunday afternoon after the Glasgow Whisky Festival, it will be the Saturday for the Glasgow Whisky Festival. On Sunday between 2 and 4 in the afternoon for a Ralfy tasting with me, Aquavita. I would absolutely love to welcome you in Glasgow and have an afternoon with you. So until then, just type in ticket in the comments and I'll search for that word and I'll enter you into the draw. And until then, I'm going to thank everybody for a wonderful, wonderful event tonight. And I'll see you hopefully a week from now. Slancher. Till next time.